Welcome to Almost Alone. I'm your host, and tonight we're exploring something most of us never think about. People who come to our doors, the delivery drivers who knock, hand us a package and leave. We see them for 30 seconds and forget they exist. But those 30 seconds, that brief interaction at a stranger's doorstep, sometimes reveals something no one was supposed to see. A wrong address, a package that shouldn't exist, a person who's been waiting. This episode features 3 stories from delivery drivers who knocked on doors they wish they hadn't, who picked up packages they should have refused, who saw things that made them realize some deliveries aren't what they seem. Before we begin, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been listening for a while, I appreciate you. Either way, if these stories resonate with you, consider subscribing. It helps more people find the channel. And if you want to support the work I do here, you can hit the like button or leave a comment sharing your own experience, if you're comfortable doing so. These stories are told calmly, but they're not light. They're real, and they linger. Let's begin. I delivered packages in rural Montana for 2 years. Never had issues until I got an order for 4,247 Maple Ridge Road. My GPS took me down a dirt road that shouldn't exist. There was no 4247, just an abandoned farmhouse, and a man standing in the doorway like he'd been waiting for me. My name is Sarah. I'm 28, single mom to a 6-year-old, and I'd been doing delivery work since my divorce. The pay wasn't great, but the flexibility meant I could pick up my daughter from school. I knew my routes inside and out. Every back road, every weird address, every customer who wanted you to leave packages in bizarre places. But that Tuesday in February, I was covering for Marcus. He'd called in sick, and dispatch asked if I could handle his rural route. Extra money, sure. I said yes. It was already getting dark by 4:30. Montana winters are like that. I had maybe 6 deliveries left, all spread out across the mountains west of town. The second to last package was prescription, medication for someone at 4247 Maple Ridge Road. Signature required. I punched the address into my GPS. The route it showed me didn't look right. It took me off the main highway onto progressively smaller roads until I was on what was barely more than a dirt track. My phone signal dropped to nothing. The road wound through dense pine forest. Snow was piled on both sides, untouched except for deer tracks. I didn't see any other tire marks. That should have been my first warning. After about 3 miles, the forest opened up into a clearing. There was a house at the end of the driveway, or what used to be a house. The siding was rotting, several windows were boarded up, and the whole structure leaned slightly to one side, like it was tired of standing. But there was smoke coming from the chimney. I checked the package again. 4,247 Maple Ridge Road. Recipient, R. Hicks. Prescription medication, signature required, cannot be left unattended. I sat in my van for a full minute, engine running, debating. Every instinct told me to leave the package on the porch and go, but it was medication. Someone needed it, and I needed the signature to keep my job. I turned off the engine. The silence was immediate and total. No birds, no wind, nothing. Just my breathing and the tick of the cooling engine. The driveway hadn't been plowed. My boots crunched through 6 inches of fresh snow as I walked to the porch. I noticed there was no mailbox, no numbers on the house, no other vehicles, just my tire tracks leading in. I climbed the 3 steps to the porch. The wood groaned under my weight. I raised my hand to knock. The door opened before my knuckles touched it. The man standing there was maybe 50, weathered face, gray in his beard, wearing a flannel shirt and work jeans. Nothing threatening about his appearance, but his smile was too wide, too ready. Afternoon, he said. Been expecting that. I held up the package. Delivery for R. Hicks. I need a signature. That's me. He didn't reach for the scanner. Come on in. I'll sign for it. I can do it right here, sir. Bad back, he said, grimacing and touching his lower spine. Hard to bend down. Just inside the door, I've got a table. I hesitated. The smart thing would be to refuse, leave the package, mark it as undeliverable. But he seemed harmless, and it was freezing outside. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me with a heavy thud, and I heard it. 3 distinct sounds. Click, clack, thunk. 3 locks. I turned. The man was standing with his back against the door, still smiling. That's when I noticed the windows. Every single one had deadbolts installed on the inside. Not locks to keep people out, locks to keep people in. Now, he said, his voice still friendly, conversational. You're going to want to scream. Don't. Closest neighbor is 8 miles away. Nobody will hear you, and it'll just make this harder. I did scream. I dropped the package and ran for the back of the house, looking for another exit. He was faster than he looked. Grabbed my arm, spun me around. I swung my scanner at his head, connected. He barely flinched. They always fight, he said, almost sadly. Lisa fought too, and Jennifer, and Melissa. You look like my daughter. She'd be about your age now. Same eyes. He pulled something from his pocket, a cloth. Chemical smell. I tried to hold my breath, tried to claw at his face, but he was strong and I was already getting dizzy. The last thing I remember was his voice. Don't worry. You'll be fine. For a while, anyway. The last one made it 47 days. I woke up on a mattress on a concrete floor. My head felt like it was full of cotton. My mouth was dry. I sat up slowly, trying to understand where I was. Basement, concrete walls, single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. Heavy wooden door with a small slot at the bottom. No windows. In the corner, a bucket. Next to the mattress, a bottle of water and a protein bar. The smell hit me. Mildew, urine, copper. And underneath it all, something organic and rotten that made my stomach turn. I stumbled to the door, tried the handle, locked. I pounded on it, screamed until my throat was raw. Nothing. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I started to see the details. Scratches on the walls. Words carved into the concrete. Lisa was here 2019. Day 14. He said I remind him of Emma. Jennifer Martinez. Someone find me, please. But it was worse than that. Some of the messages started coherent and then deteriorated. Day 1, I will get out. Day 8, so cold. Day 23, is anyone there? Day 35, Emma, Emma, Emma. He keeps calling me Emma. Day 47, just let me die. And then nothing. Just deep gouges in the concrete, like fingernails clawed at it until they broke. I could see dark stains in the deepest scratches. Blood dried years ago. I sank down against the wall and cried. From somewhere in the darkness to my left, I heard something. A scratching sound. Rhythmic. Deliberate. I froze. Hello? The scratching stopped, then started again, faster. Is someone there? I called out. Silence. Then 3 distinct scratches. Pause. 3 more. I pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing. But I could feel it. The presence of another room. Another cell. Was someone else here, or was I hearing rats? Or worse, echoes of the women who came before? I never got an answer. The scratching would come and go, always at night, always from that same wall. Time became impossible to track. The light never changed. I slept when I was exhausted, woke when I couldn't sleep anymore. I started scratching marks into the wall with a broken piece of concrete, one line per sleep cycle. It was all I had. The man, Raymond, I learned his name from one of the wall messages, came twice a day. I heard his footsteps on the stairs, then the sound of locks being undone. 5 of them. He'd slide food and water through the slot at the bottom of the door, but the worst part was the sound from upstairs. Normal life. I could hear a television playing, laugh tracks from sitcoms, the evening news. He was up there watching TV while I was dying in his basement. On what I think was the second day, he opened the door and stood in the doorway. I was pressed against the far wall. "You need to eat," he said. "I know you're scared, but you need to keep your strength up. Emma didn't eat enough, got weak, couldn't even stand at the end. My name is Sarah." He tilted his head like I'd said something confusing. "I know what your name is, but you look so much like her. Same hair, same eyes. Emma was 7 when she died. Car accident. If she'd lived, she'd be your age now." My blood ran cold. "I'm not your daughter." "I know that," he said, but his eyes were unfocused, distant. "But sometimes when I look at you, I can almost—" He trailed off, then shook himself. "Eat your food, Sarah, or Emma, whichever you prefer." He closed the door, 5 locks clicking back into place. I looked at the walls, at all the names: Lisa, Jennifer, Melissa, Ashley, Katie, Rachel. We all looked like Emma. We were all the same age Emma would have been. He wasn't just killing us. He was trying to replace her. By day 3, 3 scratch marks on my wall. I'd explored every inch of my cell. The concrete was solid except for one section of the wall opposite the door. There was a small area, about the size of my hand, where the concrete was cracked and crumbling. I started picking at it with my fingernails. My fingers bled. But behind the concrete was older stone, and between the stones I could feel air, an exterior wall. I needed something stronger than my fingernails. I searched the mattress, finding nothing useful. The metal frame had no screws or sharp edges. Then, wedged deep between the mattress and the wall, I found it. A box cutter blade wrapped in a scrap of cloth. When I unwrapped it, my hand started shaking. The cloth had dark brown stains, old blood, and scratched into the fabric in tiny letters: "For him or for you, your choice. M.M. Melissa." Or maybe Melissa was just one of many. One of the women who'd hidden this here, planning an escape that never came, or planning an ending on her own terms. I rewrapped the blade and hid it under the mattress. I wasn't ready to make that choice yet. I worked on the wall at night, using the blade to chip away at the crumbling mortar between stones. During Raymond's visits, I pushed the mattress against the wall to hide my progress. On day 4, I widened the hole enough to peer through. Forest, snow, and in the clearing between the trees, disturbed earth. Mounds of snow-covered dirt in irregular patterns. Graves. I counted 7, each one marked with a large rock, and scratched into several of the rocks I could make out names. Lisa, Jennifer. One grave was fresh. The snow hadn't fully covered it yet. No name on the marker yet. That would be me. Number 8. I pulled back from the hole and threw up into the bucket. Day 5 came with a change in Raymond's routine. He didn't just slide food through the slot. He opened the door and came inside, carrying plastic sheeting and duct tape. The same kind of plastic I'd seen in the photographs. Because while working on the wall, I'd found something else. Hidden inside the mattress through a torn seam. Polaroid photographs. Women in the same room, same concrete walls, same bare bulb, but in various states of deterioration. Thin, pale, dead-eyed, some lying on the mattress too weak to move. Each photo had a number written on the back. Days survived, 23, 31, 47, 18. The highest number was 47. That was the record. All of them had died here. Now Raymond was standing in my cell with the same plastic sheeting that would wrap my body. "I'm sorry about this," he said. "I really do wish we'd had more time. You remind me so much of her. But they're looking for you now. Saw it on the news. They found a delivery van abandoned about 15 miles from here, off Route 39. They think you crashed in the snow, maybe wandered off disoriented." My heart jumped. "They'll find you." He shook his head. "They're searching the wrong area. I moved your van there 2 days ago, made it look like an accident. Fresh snow covered my tracks. They're looking for you in the wilderness, not in someone's basement." He started unfolding the plastic sheeting. "I need to speed things up. Can't have you here when they start going door to door in a few days. This is how I did it with Jennifer. Quick. Painless if you don't struggle. Emma wouldn't want you to suffer." He took a step toward me. I was behind the door. The blade was wrapped around the broken mattress spring, secured with cloth strips. Not much, but sharp enough. When he turned, I struck. I aimed for his neck, but he moved. The blade caught him in the shoulder instead, slicing deep. He dropped the plastic and grabbed the wound, blood seeping between his fingers. "You bitch," he gasped. "Emma would never." I didn't wait. I ran. Up the stairs, through the door at the top, into a house that smelled like rot and mildew and something worse underneath. I ran through a hallway and nearly stopped. On the wall were photographs. Dozens of them, all women, all around 28 to 30 years old, all with the same dark hair and light eyes, all looking like Emma. Some were missing person posters he'd collected. Some were photos he'd clearly taken from a distance, surveillance. Some were Polaroids from the basement, a shrine to his dead daughter, built from the bodies of women who looked like she might have. I heard him behind me, stumbling up the stairs, cursing. I ran for the front door. My hands shook so hard I could barely turn the locks. Click, clack, thunk. The same 3 locks I'd heard trap me 5 days ago. I threw the door open and ran into the snow in my socks. His truck was parked in front, old and rusted. I prayed the keys were in it. They were. I turned the ignition. The engine coughed, sputtered, caught. In the rearview mirror, I saw him stumble out of the house, hand pressed to his shoulder, blood staining the snow beneath him. The inside of the truck door had scratch marks, deep gouges in the metal. Someone had tried to claw their way out from the inside. How many times had he used this truck to move bodies? How many women had been in here, maybe still alive, scratching at the doors while he drove them to their graves? I threw the truck into drive and floored it. I drove for 20 minutes before I saw another vehicle. I was crying so hard I could barely see. When I spotted a car coming the other direction, I swerved into the middle of the road and stopped. The driver, an elderly couple, must have thought I was insane. I probably looked it. No coat, socks soaked through with snow, covered in concrete dust and blood. The woman called 911 while the man helped me into their car and turned the heat on full blast. When the police arrived, I told them everything: the address, the basement, the names on the walls, the graves. They found Raymond Hicks trying to leave his property in his truck, the one I'd taken. He'd somehow made it to a neighbor's house and stolen their vehicle. He was bleeding badly from the shoulder wound, but still trying to run. What they found on his property made the news for weeks. 7 bodies, buried in the woods behind the house, exactly where I'd seen them through the hole. All women, all between the ages of 24 and 35. All had been delivery drivers, meter readers, social workers, or service workers. People who had a reason to come to a remote property. The oldest remains were from 12 years ago. The most recent was from 8 months before me. Her name was Ashley. She'd lasted 18 days. In the basement, they found not just my cell but 2 others, empty, soundproofed, with heavy reinforced doors. He'd been building a system, planning to keep multiple women at once. Among the evidence they collected, a box containing locks of hair, 7 of them, each in a small plastic bag labeled with a name and a date. Trophies from his victims: Lisa Chen, 2019, Jennifer Martinez, 2021, Melissa Ostrowski, 2023. All the names I'd seen carved into my wall. Each bag also contained their delivery company badges. He'd kept those too. And in his bedroom, they found a photo album, pictures of his daughter Emma from birth to age 7. And then the album continued with photos of the women he'd taken, forced poses mimicking Emma's childhood photos. He was recreating his daughter's life with them. The last pages were empty, waiting for me. Raymond Hicks is awaiting trial for 7 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of kidnapping. His defense is trying to claim insanity, that losing Emma broke him, but prosecutors found his computer search history. He'd been researching how to soundproof rooms 2 months before Emma died. He'd already bought the chains and locks. Emma's death didn't break him. It just gave him an excuse. I don't deliver packages anymore. Can't. Even getting mail at my house makes my hands shake. My daughter asks why I'm different now, why I check all the locks 3 times before bed, why I can't watch her play in the backyard without standing at the window. I can't tell her the truth. She's too young. But sometimes, late at night, I think about that blade wrapped in cloth, hidden between the mattress and the wall, left there by Melissa or maybe someone before her. I don't know who she was, but she saved my life. I hope wherever she is, she knows that. And I hope every delivery driver who sees a long, empty driveway with no tire tracks leading to an isolated house trusts their gut and calls it in instead of approaching, because I almost didn't. And if I hadn't found that blade, my name would be carved on that wall too, right next to the 47-day mark. And Raymond Hicks would still be watching sitcoms upstairs, waiting for the next woman who looked like Emma to knock on his door. I've picked up some weird packages in my time. Taxidermy, livestock feed, once a human skeleton for a medical school. But I've never picked up a box that moved. Until Tuesday. And I really wish I'd called the cops right then. My name is Danny. I'm 32, and I work for a regional shipping company, the kind that handles specialty items too big or weird for standard carriers. We do a lot of estate sales, antiques, that sort of thing. You call, we come get it, we ship it wherever you want. Most days are pretty routine. Tuesday started that way. I got a pickup request around 9 a.m. Special handling, residential address, in the nice part of Albuquerque, going to rural Idaho. The customer, a woman named Helen Carpenter, had specified she needed it picked up before noon. Time sensitive. I loaded up the van and headed to the address. Nice neighborhood. Well-maintained lawns, 2-car garages, the kind of place where everyone has a Ring doorbell and neighborhood watch signs. The house was a beige 2-story with desert landscaping. I pulled into the driveway and grabbed my equipment. Before I could ring the bell, the door opened. Helen was late 40s, professional looking. Blazer and slacks like she'd just come from an office, but her hair was a mess, and there were dark circles under her eyes. When she got closer, I caught the smell. Bleach, strong enough to make my eyes water. "Oh, thank God," she said. Her hands were shaking. "I need this ship today. It's time sensitive." I noticed band-aids on 3 of her fingers. Raw, red knuckles, like she'd been scrubbing something. "No problem," I said. "Where's the item?" She led me through the house to the garage. As we walked through the kitchen, I noticed the missing dish rack, the empty space where a rug used to be. Wet patches on the tile floor, still damp. Everything smelled like bleach. In the garage, there it was. The box was roughly 3 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet. Cardboard, extensively taped. Heavy-duty shipping tape wrapped around it at least a dozen times. More tape than I'd ever seen on a package. It was sitting on a furniture dolly. Next to it, a bulging trash bag. Through a tear in the plastic, I could see more duct tape, blood-stained towels, rubber gloves. Helen saw me looking. "Craft project," she said quickly. "I make a mess." "What's in the box?" I asked, pulling out my intake form. "Taxidermy, elk mount. My ex-husband wants it. I'm done looking at it." I nodded. "We ship taxidermy fairly often. How much does it weigh?" "Maybe 150 pounds. I'm not sure. It's heavy." I started filling out the form. "Shipping address?" She gave me an address in Idaho. Mountain View Storage, some rural route number. He's got a storage unit there. "And what should I put for contents, for customs?" "Taxidermy, like I said. Elk mount." I wrote it down. Then the smell hit me. It was chemical, sharp, like bleach mixed with something else. Something organic and wrong underneath. It didn't smell like mothballs or the cedar chips usually used for taxidermy. It smelled like a crime scene. "Is that coming from the box?" Helen shifted her weight. There was a small dark stain on her blazer collar that I hadn't noticed before. Red-brown. Preservation chemicals. It's been treated. That made sense. Sort of. But something about her tone was off. I tilted the box onto my dolly and started wheeling it toward the van. It was heavy, she wasn't kidding. And the weight shifted oddly as I moved it. Not like a solid mounted head. Like something loose inside. Like the contents were rolling. Like a heavy liquid sloshing from one end to the other. Helen followed me out, watching as I loaded it into the back of the van. That's when I heard it. A sound from inside the box, wet and sliding, like something heavy and soft-shifting position. And then, distinctly, air escaping, but thicker, like a balloon deflating but wrong. I froze. "Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" Helen said too quickly. Her voice pitched higher. I looked at her. She was standing rigid, arms crossed, jaw tight. She smelled like bleach and fear. "Nothing," I said. "Thought I heard something." She was staring at the box, not blinking. "You should get going. Like I said, time sensitive. He's waiting for it." I closed the van doors and got her signature on the paperwork. Her hand shook so badly the signature was barely legible. As I pulled out of the driveway, I glanced in the rear-view mirror. Helen was on her phone, pacing in the driveway, agitated. Even from a distance, I could see her hands gesturing frantically. I made it about 3 miles before I heard it again. I was stopped at a red light when there was a definite sound from the back of the van. Not just settling, a movement. A thump against the side of the box, like something rolling into the cardboard from inside. I turned around in my seat, looking through the partition into the cargo area. The box sat there, innocent. Same extensive tape job, same labels, same everything. But I could swear I'd heard something. The light turned green. I drove another block, then pulled into a shopping center parking lot. I got out and opened the back doors of the van. The chemical smell was stronger now. My eyes watered. And underneath the bleach, something else, something organic. Decay masked by cleaning products. I walked around to look at the box more closely. In the corner, I noticed something I'd missed before. A small tear in the cardboard, maybe 2 inches long. I knelt down to look. Through the tear, I could see plastic sheeting, multiple layers. Clear plastic, the heavy-duty kind used for painting or construction. And between the layers, I could see condensation, fog, like the plastic was warm on the inside, creating moisture, and dark staining, red-brown, soaked through the inner layers and dried. Blood. I could see more through the tear, something pressed against the plastic from inside. Pale. Fingers. Human fingers. My hand started shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone. I called my supervisor. "Hey Tom, I've got a weird situation." "What kind of weird?" "Pickup from a residential address. Customer says it's taxidermy, but it's not. I can see through a tear in the box. There's plastic sheeting inside, condensation, what looks like blood, and I swear to God there's a hand." Tom was quiet for a second. "You're sure?" "I'm sure something's very wrong." "What's your gut say?" I looked at the box again, at the tear, the condensation, the fingers pressed against plastic like they were trying to get out. "My gut says there's a body in this box." "Then follow protocol. Contact authorities. I'll back you up." I hung up and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency?" "I'm a delivery driver. I picked up a package that I think there might be human remains inside." Dispatch said units were en route and to stay with the vehicle. I sat in the driver's seat, doors locked, watching the box through the rearview mirror. The condensation on the plastic was getting worse. I could see it through the tear. Moisture building up like something inside was still warm. 15 minutes felt like hours. When the police arrived, 2 officers in a patrol car, I explained the situation. Showed them the pickup address, Helen's information, the box. "You didn't open it?" the first officer asked. "No, sir. That's not protocol unless there's immediate danger." The second officer was walking around the van, looking at the box through the open rear doors. "You said you heard movement?" "Twice. And the smell is wrong for taxidermy. It smells like bleach and something rotting." He leaned in closer to the tear in the cardboard. His face changed. "Yeah, we're opening this. Step back, ma'am." I got out of the van and stood about 20 feet away. My hands were shaking. The officers pulled the box out onto the parking lot. Using a utility knife, they started cutting through the tape. It took a while. There was so much of it. Layer after layer after layer. When they finally got through the outer cardboard and pulled back the flaps, I saw it. A large bundle, wrapped in thick clear plastic sheeting, duct tape. So much duct tape you couldn't see what was underneath without cutting. But the dark staining was visible now. Red-brown patches soaked through the plastic, and the smell that came out of the box made me gag and turn away. "Ma'am, you need to get further back," the first officer said. His voice was different now, controlled, professional. The second officer was already on his radio. "We need a detective and CSU at this location. We've got a 187. Repeat, possible homicide." They put on gloves and started cutting through the plastic. Layer by layer. First layer, clear plastic sheeting, taped extensively. Second layer, more plastic, fogged with condensation. Third layer, plastic stained dark, wet on the inside. Fourth layer, I could see the shape now. A body, curled in fetal position. Fifth layer, skin, pale, waxy. I turned away and threw up in the bushes. When I could look again, they'd removed enough plastic to see clearly. A man. Hispanic, late 20s, wearing pajamas. His eyes were half open, fixed on nothing. Duct tape covered his mouth. His hands had defensive wounds, cuts, bruises, broken fingernails like he'd fought back. This wasn't an accident. This was murder, and I'd almost delivered him. The next few hours were a blur. The parking lot became a crime scene. Police cars, ambulances, medical examiner. They cordoned off my van with yellow tape. A detective, Rodriguez, his badge said, sat me down in the back of a patrol car and took my statement. Tell me about the pickup, everything you remember. I described Helen, the house, the smell of bleach, her shaking hands, the band-aids on her fingers, the way she'd seemed desperate for me to take the box and leave. Did she say anything unusual? Just that it was time-sensitive, that her ex wanted it. Rodriguez wrote something down. The package was addressed to Idaho. Mountain View Storage, some rural route. She said it was going to her ex's storage unit. He nodded. We're sending units to the pickup address now. Can you describe the woman again? I did. He showed me a photo on his phone. Professional headshot. Probably from LinkedIn. The same woman, but polished. Not frantic. This her? Yes, that's Helen. Helen Carpenter. Works in real estate. Lives alone. He looked up at me. Did you see anyone else at the house? No, just her. More notes. Then he looked up at me. You did the right thing calling this in. If you delivered this package. He didn't finish the sentence, but I knew she would have gotten away with it. I spent the rest of the day at the police station. They were kind, gave me coffee and water, but I had to go over the story again and again. Around 6 p.m., Rodriguez came back. We found her, Helen Carpenter. She was at the airport, trying to catch a flight to Vancouver. Did she confess? He sat down across from me. Eventually. The victim is Carlos Mendez, her boyfriend. They'd been together about 8 months. According to friends, he'd been trying to break up with her for the last 6 weeks. She didn't take it well. What happened? Monday night, around 11 p.m., they had an argument. She hit him with a fireplace poker from the living room. Multiple strikes. We found the poker in her garage. She'd cleaned it, but luminol lit it up like a Christmas tree. I felt sick. Her search history goes back 3 weeks. She'd been researching how to dispose of a body. Do shipping companies x-ray packages? Decomposition rates in cold weather. How many hits to kill someone? This wasn't heat of the moment. She'd been planning it. The Idaho property? Rodriguez pulled out his phone, showed me photos. A hole in the ground. Deep. Fresh. Tools nearby, shovels. Lime. Plastic sheeting rolled up and waiting. She owns 40 acres there. Inherited from her parents. Completely isolated. She took these photos on Sunday. He swiped to the next image. She was treating it like a DIY project, documenting her progress. The photo showed the grave from a different angle, partially dug, like someone proud of their work. I couldn't speak. She spent Monday night and all Tuesday morning trying to clean the scene, bought 17 bottles of bleach from 3 different stores, wrapped the body in plastic with bleach-soaked towels to mask the smell. Then she remembered you people do specialty shipping. Jesus Christ. Her plan was to ship him to Idaho, wait a few days, drive out there, bury him, then come back to New Mexico and report him missing. Missing person case. No body, no crime. She probably would have gotten away with it if you hadn't stopped. He closed his notebook. The sounds you heard, Post-mortem gases. Bodies aren't still, especially fresh ones. Rigor mortis releases, fluid shift, gas builds up. He'd been dead less than 24 hours. I felt the parking lot tilting. I had him in my van. I was driving around with a body. You were, but you listened to your instincts. That saved the case. Later, Rodriguez showed me more evidence. They'd raided Helen's house. The bathroom was a crime scene. Despite the bleach, luminol revealed massive blood spatter. The walls, the ceiling, the floor. Carlos had been killed in there, probably in the shower or tub for easy cleanup. The kitchen tile showed where Helen had dragged the body through the house to the garage. The missing rug had been in the path. She'd thrown it away because it was blood-soaked. In her bedroom, they found a bag packed, clothes for a week, $50,000 in cash withdrawn from her accounts over the past month, and a fake passport in the name Ellen Hartley with her photo. She wasn't coming back from Vancouver. This was her exit plan. And among her belongings, they found a journal. The last entry was from Monday night, written after she'd killed Carlos and wrapped his body. The hardest part was the smell. I thought the bleach would cover it better, had to buy more, but it's done now. By Thursday, he'll be in the ground and I'll be free. Fresh start. Should have done this weeks ago instead of listening to his excuses. No remorse. No horror at what she'd done. Just annoyance about the smell and logistics. Carlos's mother gave a statement to the news. She said Carlos had been scared the last few weeks, that Helen had become controlling, obsessive, that when he tried to break up with her, she'd threatened to hurt herself or ruin his reputation. His friends confirmed it. Helen had been stalking him, showing up at his work, calling his friends asking where he was. Classic warning signs. One friend said Helen had told her, "If I can't have him, no one can." They'd all thought she was being dramatic. They didn't know she'd already started digging his grave. The company gave me 2 weeks paid leave. I took it, spent most of it on my couch, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those fingers pressed against the plastic. The condensation, the dark staining. I had the van professionally detailed. 3 times. Different companies. I could still smell it. I stopped eating meat. Couldn't do it. The visual similarity made me sick. When I came back to work, I requested a route change. No more special pickups. Just regular commercial runs. Predictable. Safe. But it didn't help. Because now, every box I load, every package I handle, I wonder. The therapist asks me what the worst part is. I tell her it's how normal Helen looked. Professional. Put together. Like anyone. Like any customer I'd dealt with 1,000 times before. If she'd been disheveled, acting crazy, I would have known something was wrong immediately. But she wasn't. She was just a woman in a blazer, shipping a box. And if I'd been 10 minutes faster loading it, if I'd been in more of a hurry, if it had been Friday and I was rushing to finish my route, I would have driven to Idaho with Carlos Mendez in the back of my van. I would have delivered him to that grave, and Helen would be in Canada right now, living as Ellen Hartley, and Carlos would just be a missing person case that went cold. I think about that every day. Helen Carpenter is awaiting trial for first-degree murder. The prosecution is going for life without parole. Her defense is trying to claim it was a crime of passion, that she panicked after an argument got out of hand. But the jury will see her search history, the planning, the grave photos, the journal entry with no remorse. They'll know the truth. Carlos's family asked to meet me. I didn't want to, but I went. His mother hugged me and cried and thanked me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't save him. He was already dead when I picked up that box. But she said I gave them answers. I gave them justice. I gave them a chance to bury their son. Without me, He'd be in an unmarked grave in Idaho, and they'd spend the rest of their lives wondering. I still deliver packages. Different route now, different types of cargo, but I can't stop thinking about it. How many other delivery drivers have been in that exact situation and didn't stop? How many strange packages got delivered anyway because the driver had a quota to meet or didn't want to cause trouble? How many times has someone shipped something unthinkable and it worked? I don't have answers. All I know is this: I listen now to sounds that don't make sense, to smells that don't match what's on the label, to that little voice in the back of my head that says something's wrong. Because sometimes a package isn't just a package. Sometimes it's evidence. Sometimes it's a victim. And sometimes the only thing standing between a killer and getting away with it is a delivery driver willing to ask questions. I ask questions, and now I can't stop. Every box, every pickup, every delivery, I listen. And I hope to God I never hear something move again. That's the end of tonight's episode. 2 delivery drivers, 2 addresses. Both of them survived by paying attention to details that seemed wrong. A door with too many locks. A package that smelled like chemicals. Small things that saved their lives. Every day, delivery drivers knock on thousands of doors. Most of those encounters are routine, forgettable, but some aren't. Some reveal things no one was supposed to see. If tonight's episode resonated with you, I'd appreciate it if you take a moment to like the video or leave a comment. If you have your own story you'd like to share, you can submit it through the link in the description. And if you haven't already, subscribe. There's more to come. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.